today's video, we're going to explore a dark side of history that is rarely discussed: the worst methods of torture ever used. Get ready for a disturbing journey through the cruelest and most inhumane practices ever conceived by mankind. You'll discover the brutal techniques employed to cause unimaginable pain and submission, from medieval dungeons to modern totalitarian regimes. If you think you've seen it all, I guarantee some of these methods will surprise and shock you. Stay with us and find out how human cruelty knows no bounds. The history of torture is as old as civilization itself. Since time immemorial, torture has been used as a tool to obtain confessions, punish, or simply terrorize. Each era and culture developed its own methods, often horribly creative, to inflict pain and suffering. Let's take a look at how different cultures and historical periods used torture, starting with the ancient Egyptians, who had methods like flogging and amputation. In ancient Greece, the torment of slaves was common, and the Romans were famous for their crucifixions. Let's start with the Middle Ages, an era notorious for its brutal practices. Among the most terrifying methods, we have the Iron Maiden, an iron chamber with internal spikes that slowly pierced the victim when the door was closed. This horrible invention was used to punish traitors and heretics, and was often decorated in the form of a woman, hence the name. The Catherine Wheel, also known as the breaking wheel, where the victim was tied to a wheel and their limbs were broken and woven through the spokes. This method was used to prolong suffering before death, serving as a public execution meant to terrorize the population. The Judas Cradle, a wooden pyramid where the victim was slowly lowered, impaled by the sharp point. This torture was used to extract forced confessions or to severely punish those accused of serious crimes. Other medieval methods include the rack. Victims were tied to a stretching device that slowly pulled their limbs in opposite directions until the bones dislocated. The head crusher, a device that, as the name suggests, was used to crush the victim's head between a metal plate and a helmet, slowly and painfully. Although we might think these brutal methods are a thing of the past, the reality is quite different. In the modern era, totalitarian regimes and oppressive governments have continued to use torture to control and terrorize. Water torture, a technique used by various secret agencies, where the victim is submerged in water or has water poured over their face, causing the sensation of drowning. This technique, also known as waterboarding, has been notoriously used on prisoners of war and suspected terrorists. Electroshock, used on political prisoners to cause extreme pain without leaving visible marks. This technique is frighteningly effective at destroying the victim's mental and physical resistance. The parrot's perch, a physical and psychological torture technique used primarily during dictatorship in Latin America, where the victim is suspended for long periods, causing excruciating pain. Other modern methods include sensory deprivation, total isolation of the victim in a dark cell, with no sound or light, for long periods. This method can lead to insanity within days, showing the devastating power of sensory deprivation. Stress positions, forcing the victim to maintain extremely uncomfortable positions for long periods of time, causing great muscle and joint pain. Real survivor stories of these tortures can be used to illustrate the depth of suffering caused by these practices. For example, we can mention the experiences of political prisoners who were subjected to psychological torture techniques during military dictatorship. The history of torture is a grim reminder of how far humanity can go in the pursuit of power and control. Although we have made significant progress in terms of human rights, there is still much to be done to eradicate these horrific practices from the modern world. Reflecting on these atrocities, it is crucial that we continue to fight for human rights and the dignity of all people. We must remember the victims and work to ensure that such horrors never happen again. If you found this video informative and would like to learn more about dark stories and surprising historical facts, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. Give us a like and share this video with your friends. Comment below on which torture method you found most shocking, or if you know of others we didn't mention. Your participation is very important to us.